All right, how we doing? We are back. Another stream, another opportunity to get some content going. All right, just move this camera a little bit to the side, just because I don't like the views that sometimes gives. Yeah, so much better. All right, anyways, we have a lot of topics here today, but no idea to what to react to as of right now. Um, all right, so let's see. Just all the things that we have right now on our For You page, I guess. Hmm. Mm. Damn, I don't know what to react to. But we're gonna have a lot of people watching right now, at least, so we can just kind of relax in a bit. Oh shit. Yeah, we can kind of relax and see what we need to react to. In the meantime, Sniper Pug. All right, this is a good one. This I'm amazing video. Look at this. Oh, yeah, however, we get it. All right, let's get this going. All right, so we're gonna be watching how India runs the world's biggest election by votes. That is a good question. How do they run? They have like so much
The
people.
world's biggest democracy just had an election.
The world's biggest democratic election.
Marathon election.
A mammoth undertaking.
The world's biggest exercise in democracy.
In India, voters picked its central government for the next 5 years. An eighth of the world's population was eligible to vote in this election.
This year, 2019, there are 900 million eligible voters in India, making this the largest democratic exercise in the history of humanity.
But this isn't a video about
900
Indian
million. How many?
politics, because before India's people can even cast their vote, the election
Wait, no, I need to hold up. How many people live in America? How many people live in the United States? All right, dude. According to ChatGPT, we have around 347 million people as of 2025 living inside the U.S. But if you think about it, that is damn, bro. I don't know how to put it. I'm pretty sure India has over a billion people living in that country, and also it said that they had 900 million registered voters. So that's not even and they said that they had 900 million registered voters. So that I can't fucking speak, dude. Holy shit. They said that they have 900 million registered voters. So that means that in the U.S., it counts the total population like 300. It counts the total population of 347 million, counting the kids, babies, anything like that. That is not registering the registered voters. So there's over a billion. I can't fucking speak, dude. There's over 1 billion people in India, and 900 million of them are gonna vote. So I'm wondering how they even count these votes.
Needs to come to them. Polling stations need to be set up wherever people live. And in one of the largest and most populous countries in the world, that isn't an easy task.
That doesn't sound easy.
India has to reach voters in coastal cities in the south, in the rural regions of the west, and jungles to the east, and everywhere in between.
Yeah.
And what's more, they want every Indian citizen to be within 2 kilometers of a voting station.
That's only
That's
about
a lot.
25 city blocks, no matter where you are in the country.
It's an incredibly ambitious
A
goal,
shit ton of
and yet
stations,
somehow
bro.
they're able to do it.
This is the biggest election in the world, and I wanted to know, how does it work?
Honest to God, India.
Every election, a team of
There's so
government
many people in
officials and
India.
security forces get on a boat in the east of India to take off towards this island. They travel about 100 kilometers to get here, all to securely deliver these electronic voting machines, or EVMs, the instrument that logs India's votes, the heart of this elaborate election process.
How were they able to do it before? Because even back then, let's say like 20, 30 years ago, they didn't have the electronically, so they would have to count papers. 900, well, back then it probably would have been like less, so I'm guessing 20 years ago, I'm gonna say like 600 million. 6 to 500 million votes they will have to count in paper. So like, who's counting that?
India has 2.3 million voting machines for its 900 million voters.
Oh, shit.
So getting these
That's a lot of
machines
machines.
close to every voter is a big logistical undertaking. That's why India doesn't have a single election day. Instead, it's closer to an election month with multiple phases that last weeks. This process takes more than 11 million election officials and security forces who move from polling station to polling station to polling station, from densely populated cities to the rural areas where the majority of Indians live.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds way more believable than being in the U.S. where you have pretty much only one day to vote, or like all the votes are counted in one day, and then you decide in one day. Like they take a whole month to make sure that like India takes a whole month to make sure that every vote is counted. So I like that, and I think that is better than U.S. because it just sounds like more believable that there's like. It just sounds more believable that you're actually taking the time to count the votes and what the voters say.
Once on the island with the EVMs, officials pile onto bike carts and head towards the polling station. Once they arrive, they begin setting everything up for the vote.
ওনাদের তো বহুত ধন্যবাদ যে এখানে এসে ওনারা আমাদের ভোটটা নিচ্ছেন।
তাদের জন্য আমাদের তো খুবই শুভেচ্ছা ভালোবাসা রইল।
আমার বক্তব্য সবার কাছে পৌঁছতে পারছি এই আর কি
Look at his, what the fuck? Look at his
পৌঁছতে
teeth.
পারছি।
His teeth are straight black. Is that like normal in India to have black teeth? Just, I don't even fucking know how to compare it to. Dude, it's the same color as this fucking pencil, dude. It's just straight black. Look at his teeth, dude. You can kind of see his teeth, like the white part, but
এই আর কি
what the fuck? That cannot be healthy.
On election day, voters line up, cast their vote, and get their fingers inked to prevent double voting. This is where the process ends for the voters. But for the election officials, this is just the beginning. Driving a boat out to a remote island is just one of many ways that officials reach every voter. India's vast and diverse terrain requires transportation methods of all kinds. Like in the jungles of this northern state, where elephants transport voting machines to reach a remote town, or in the Himalayas, where officials hike for hours to bring EVMs for election day. Helicopters, trains, they even use camels. But what makes India's elections so impressive isn't just how they reach everyone in such a big country. That's just half the battle. It's also the ways they try to include voters of all backgrounds into the process, a challenge that has been a part of India's elections since the very beginning. India has 22 official languages and hundreds of dialects. And when India became an independent nation, less than a quarter of the population could read and write. The newly formed Election Commission of India created a range of symbols to correspond to each political party, like an
Wait. Less than a quarter of its population could not read. So 75% of its people could not read stop signs or like. Yeah, how did they drive? They couldn't have been driving, honestly, and half of the population doesn't know how to read. So like, what do they do? 'Cause I'm pretty sure most of that population is pretty much still alive, even 20 years down the line. Like they're still learning like their ABCs. I mean, for them it's gonna be a lot different because it's so many languages that they have to learn. But still, I mean, if it's in that sense that you can't read another language, that's one thing. But if you can't read your own language, that's another. Because I think you should know that. But I don't know if it's just an American thing that you have to learn how to read.
elephant, a lotus, a hand, or even an alarm clock. So that from the beginning, all people, regardless of literacy level and language, could vote with confidence. Since 1947, the literacy rate has increased significantly, but it's still only 75%, so these symbols are still useful to many when casting a vote. But this is a massive, sprawling operation. And over the years, it's run into some pretty serious problems, like allegations of election rigging and problems with a practice called booth capture, where gangs actually take over polling stations and tamper with the elections. It's partly because of these problems that the commission introduced these voting machines in the 1990s. It also increased security around the elections. These efforts to include all voters and protect elections seem to be working. In 2019, India saw the highest voter turnout yet, and for the first time, women voted just as much as men.
ভোটটাই তো আমার কাছে ইম্পর্টেন্ট, কেননা আমরা এখানকার বাসিন্দা।
ভালোর জন্য, উন্নতির জন্য।
India's elections are only getting bigger and more complicated. India has one of the fastest growing populations in the world, and in 2020, young people will make up more than a third of the country.
I voted for the first time since turning 18, and this is my indelible ink mark.
Done with our voting.
So happy that I did my voting for the first time. Here's
This is the biggest election in the world. It takes millions of officials fanning out across a massive country to help hundreds of millions vote. Every part of this, the symbols, the elephants, the boats, the machines, shows how hard it is to make sure that everyone in a country this large can participate. And all without going more than 2 kilometers from home. If you want to learn more about the evolution of democracy in South Asia, you should check out the Bhutan episode of Asia.
Dude, that's actually a very, very interesting video, dude. I did not know that they took such measures to go vote. And also, I mean, I don't want to sound rude, but I don't see a lot of progress going on in India in the sense of, like, the streets being clean. So I don't know where they use their funds on, or if they even do taxes like that. So that's another thing that I would like to figure out, because they are a massive nation in terms of population, and I don't know how they feed all those people. To be honest, the more I think about it, I don't know how they do it. How are you able to feed every single day, day in and out, over 1 billion people in just one small country? So I don't think India is like as big as the U.S. or as big as like China. It's probably like a little bit smaller, but still they have so much people living in it, like kind of cramped up. But I'm actually pretty happy that they have democracy there, in the sense that they can actually vote. But yeah, amazing video, dude. Very informative video. Amazing. All right. All right, now we gotta go back to trying to see what we can learn. This sounds interesting. This looks very interesting. The Heavy Gustav.
Booking.com has all kinds of stays for those who love family resorts and for those who do not.
All right. All right. So we're going to be watching the largest weapon ever built by Fern.
This is the largest weapon the world has ever seen. This is the size of a tank. That's a human. And this is the size of the weapon's ammo. The Nazis called it Heavy Gustav. 1,350 tons of steel, a 32-meter barrel, and 47 kilometers of shooting range. It took 4,000 workers just to set it up, and another 1,500 soldiers to operate it. We dug deep into the archives to bring you the story of this monstrosity. A megalomaniac weapon commissioned by no other than Adolf Hitler himself. But unlike many of his rather delusional projects, this one was actually brought to life. Heavy Gustav was deployed in battle.
Why was this not really heard of as much? And also doesn't sound very effective, in the sense that if you just shoot a tank bullet at the outsides of it, I don't think it's gonna hold up, because you're gonna kill so many men, and men are gonna be scared to operate it. Because if you get shot again, like, it will end their lives. So I think you only have to shoot it once, and then kind of not have to worry about it as much anymore.
1937. Adolf Hitler is neck deep in preparations for his war. But one thing is keeping him up at night. The Maginot Line along the French-German border. A massive array of heavily armed and fortified concrete strongholds. To break through the solid line of defense, he needs something new, something big. So he orders Krupp Steelworks, the weapons forge of the German Reich, to build the largest cannon the world has ever seen. Hitler wants it to be ready by 1940. The project is top secret. Under no circumstances must the plans fall into the hands of the enemy. Internal documents refer to the cannon only as the Gustav device. Choosing cute names for heavy artillery is a long-standing German tradition. Other examples are Karl Morder or Big Bertha. Spring 1940. Hitler is eager to finally invade France, ideally with his new superweapon leading the way. But Heavy Gustav is not ready yet, and the Führer is furious. In the end, the Nazis decide to bypass the Maginot Line altogether by invading France through the densely wooded Ardennes in Belgium.
Okay.
A year later, the cannon is finally ready. It's a railway gun, designed to move along twin sets of parallel tracks. It weighs 1,350 tons and rolls on 40 axles and 80 wheels. It stretches nearly 50 meters long and stands as tall as a 4-story building. Its caliber has a diameter of 80 centimeters. The ammo
Four-story
shells weigh up to
building.
7 tons each. This is one of them, a tank-busting projectile capable of tearing through 6 meters of reinforced concrete. And this is you working on a beach with AnyDesk. AnyDesk is a remote access software that lets you connect to your computer from anywhere, securely, smoothly, and quickly. It literally feels like you're sitting right at the machine. It's ultra fast with near zero latency, so there's no annoying lag. File transfers happen directly, no cloud delays, no middlemen. It works on almost everything: Windows, Mac, Linux, iOS, Android, etc. And with 99.98% uptime, your connection is rock solid no matter where you are. You can troubleshoot your grandma's old PC, transfer files, or say, remotely edit. That's how we use AnyDesk. It's just a game changer when you need a powerful machine for your work but want to chill here or here or here for a change. The applications are limitless. Try AnyDesk today. It's completely free for personal use. Just go to anydesk.com/Fern or scan the QR code on screen. Okay, back to Heavy Gustav. Tests are run to probe its unprecedented destructive power. Each shot leaves craters up to 32 meters deep and just pulverizes massive concrete walls. But by the time the cannon is ready, France has already fallen. Fortunately, at least for Hitler, there's still another battlefront. 1942. The Nazis have conquered vast stretches of the Soviet Union as part of Operation Barbarossa. But the Soviet forces are still fiercely holding on to one particular place, Sevastopol, then known as the world's strongest fortress. The city is defended by over 100,000 Russian soldiers, shielded behind 5 meters of concrete walls or hidden in bunkers buried 30 meters underground. Hitler desperately needs a win. And Heavy Gustav could be the key to breaking through.
We have 1 billion FPSs, but there's only one Siege. Siege caters to pretty much every single kind of FPS player.
But getting the massive cannon onto the battlefield is no simple task. Gustav has to be disassembled, loaded onto 5 separate trains carrying a total of 100 cars, and dragged through Poland. Once it reaches the front, the next challenge is finding the perfect spot to set it up. Reconnaissance planes are sent to scout the ideal firing position. It has to be far enough from enemy artillery to stay out of range. Eventually, they settle on a site about 25 kilometers from Sevastopol. Setting Gustav up is no small feat either. Soldiers have to lay 1,200 meters of railway tracks. And there's a unique challenge, the so-called firing curve. The barrel itself can't be rotated to attack new targets. 2 massive diesel locomotives have to carefully shift the entire weapon along the tracks to adjust its aim. Secrecy is critical too. Soldiers have to build artificial hills and trenches to camouflage the weapon and keep it hidden from enemies. But Heavy Gustav also has to remain invisible from above, which is why the Nazis have brought a 500-man special unit called the Smoke Troop. If need be, they can shroud the entire area in a thick cloud of smoke to conceal the weapon from enemy aircraft.
It sounds like a
All in
headache.
all, the operation requires over 5,000 people. Laying tracks, assembling the cannon, maintaining, guarding, and camouflaging it, creating smoke screens, and ultimately operating the gun. An enormous effort for a single weapon.
I mean, probably killed a lot of
Unsurprisingly,
people, which
Nazi
is
propaganda
sad.
touts the cannon as a marvel of military engineering.
Und das ist die neue schwere deutsche Artillerie. Aufzüge und Schienenanlagen befördern die gewaltigen Geschosse zum Rohr. Diesem massierten Feuerhagel werden auch die letzten Festungswerke von Sevastopol auf die Dauer nicht standhalten können.
After 3 days of assemblage, Heavy Gustav is finally ready to fire.
Doing 3 whole days
This
to get it
is
set up.
Fort Stalin. For days, Soviet soldiers have endured relentless shelling. But they remain steadfast, sheltered behind massive concrete walls. At 4:30 p.m., they hear a massive explosion ripping through the air from a distance. The Soviet soldiers don't know it yet, but at this very moment, they are the target of the largest cannon ever built. A 7-ton armor-piercing shell is now hurtling toward them, easily capable of blasting through all their defenses. Even the massive concrete walls of Fort Stalin are no match for a weapon of this scale. But then, nothing happens. The shell misses, slamming into the ground about 120 meters away from them. The Germans need almost an hour to reload their gun.
An
Another shell is
hour.
fired and misses again, this time by 150 meters. Then another, and another. This is an official list of every shot fired on day one and how far they were off target. The next one is marked as a hit. But later, when search teams scan the area, they find no conclusive evidence of an actual impact. By the end of day 4, only
Dude, that's so useless. Like, you wasted pretty much a whole day just trying to shoot massive, what looks like to them to be missiles. I mean, did they have any missiles back then? In 1940s? I don't know if they did. Like, just like small missiles. Not a whole atomic bomb, you know, not that. But they had like small missiles that they would use during war. I know they had like grenades and stuff like that, like explosives. But there's like a whole tank. That probably doesn't compare to like the missiles that we have today, if I'm being honest. But if it takes an hour to reload, it doesn't sound very, very efficient at all. Kind of sounds like a waste of time. Look, they even had the bullets set up on the side to try and make it faster, but it takes a whole hour to set it up. That better do some like crazy damage if it hits.
only 5 shells remain. They are all fired on day 5. And not a single one finds its mark.
No way.
And just like that, they're out of ammo. Heavy Gustav has fired a total of 48 shots, a staggering
48 shots.
360 tons of ammunition. The official records claim 3 of them hit their target, but even that is debatable. The only confirmed hit was an underground ammunition depot. And that was probably luck.
Yeah, I don't think they
What
meant
was
to hit it.
supposed to be
48
a
shots.
terrifying
You
mega
hit one.
weapon turned out to be a massive and utterly useless monstrosity. There had already been doubts about the cannon's accuracy before it was first deployed. Some Nazi military officials suspected that the chances of actually hitting a target would be near zero, given the insane caliber size and shooting range. But they neither had the time nor the resources for proper testing. On top of that, the barrel wore out ridiculously fast. It became completely useless after just a handful of shots. In the end, Sevastopol fell, but Hitler's mega cannon had nothing to do with it. Did nobody have the heart to tell him, or did he simply refuse to accept the bitter truth?
No one
We
had the
don't
heart
know
to
for
tell 'em.
sure.
Yeah, they'd probably get killed.
Despite being a complete strategic and economic disaster, Heavy Gustav still served its purpose as a flashy propaganda piece for Hitler's vision of an unstoppable German war machinery. After its first and only battle, the railway gun returned back home to Rügenwalde, in what was then West Pomerania. A few final shots were fired during a demonstration. Hitler himself was there to witness his masterpiece in action. When the Nazis lost the war, he personally ordered the cannon destroyed so the miracle weapon wouldn't fall into enemy hands, which was probably a complete waste of time. Oh, and if you ever wondered what it would look like if you were to fire Adolf Hitler 15 miles across Crimea from a 100-foot-long cannon barrel, well,
No, dude, we got Destiny.
Performance.
Alright, that was an amazing video. I really liked it. I didn't know that they had that weapon, but now I'm actually very curious how much it costed to build it. Let's search it up. How much did it cost to build Heavy Gustav? Alright, so apparently I asked it, how much did it cost to build a Heavy Gustav German cannon? How much did it cost to build a Heavy Gustav German cannon? And it says 7 million Reichsmarks to produce in the late 1930s. So according to it, like tens of millions of dollars today, depending on the inflation and conversion method used. But yeah, honestly, it was probably a disaster. But yeah, that sucks that it was actually. I mean, the way that you look at it, it does look very cool. It does look like a very useful weapon, but it just wasn't at all because it was not accurate whatsoever. And just to build a bullet, one round of bullet probably cost like, I don't know, $300K back in that day. probably like 1 million today. It was tons of ammo. You know, it was like 2 tons, 7 tons of powder in the bullet. That was way too much. Alright. Dude, I'm getting some crazy videos today. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm looking at. Wow, this is an amazing fucking video, dude. Watch this.
Zorro.com knows you give it your all. On every job, with every...
If you add up the...
Alright, so we're going to be looking at Kim Jong-un's bodyguards, right? To what happens is so in the base the US by Dimple Video. Should be a good video.
Spending of 14 of them, you get about $1 trillion. Not much more than what the US alone spent on its own.
국방비 예산이 와 이제 이 43년 1조 전억 우리는 이거 잘못 알고 있었네. 북한에서는 항상 그런 거 주입 주다 보니까 이게 우리 내가 북한에서 알던 거하고 얘기하는 게 완전 다르구나 이걸 알 수 있어요. 그런데 그 북한 주민들이 이제 딱 알게 되면 이게 우리가 속고 있었었네. 북한군 허위사령부 출신 강윤철입니다. 2015년 9월에 북한에서 탈북했습니다. 허위사령부는 김정은이를 호위하는 그런 경호부대라고 친위부대라고 보면 되죠. 그리고 뭐 금수산 기념궁전이라든가 북한에서 제일 중요한 업무 그런 데마다 허위사령부가 지키고 있고 그리고 또 더 나가서
What are they protecting him from in his own country? Because there's no one that's gonna want to touch him, regardless. Or you just look at him the wrong way could get you killed in North Korea. So why would you want to look at him? No. So why would you want to try to kill? Can't fucking speak, dude. So why would you even try to kill that man, knowing that if you do even like hurt him in the way, let's say that you punch him, your whole family, your whole bloodline, anybody that's related to you, will end up going to prison, or probably just the whole family just get killed, executed, instantly.
더 평양시를 호위한다고 방어한다고 보면 되죠. 그러니까 호위사령부 안에는 다른 군부서라든가 이런 데서 반란이 일어나면 그걸 막을 수 있는 진압부대도 있거든요. 북한에서 좀 최고급 간부들 호위하는 그런 그 업무를 한다고 보면 됩니다.
개인적으로는 북한에서 미국에 대해서 어떻게 생각해요?
북한은 미국을 조금 나쁘다 뭐 이렇게 자칭은 다 하긴 하는데 우리는 북한에서 뭐 어렸을 때부터 세뇌를 받았잖아요. 미국 승양이라 하고 나쁜 나라긴 한데 자유가 있는 나라고 그 나라는 뭐 무기도 소지해도 되고 우리가 생각하고 있는 것보다도 완전 하늘에 있는 그런 나라처럼 저는 개인적으로 그렇게 생각했어요. 우리 어렸을 때 북한에서 CDR이라고 이전에는 테이프식으로 나온 게 있어요. 미국 영화도 많이 봤거든요. 아 확실히 우리보다는 저 나라가 뭐 좀 많이 발전했고 뭐 그런 거는 조금 알았죠.
China came in second with 296 billion.
Dude, I didn't know that. That's kind of crazy that they let them watch movies of the U.S. in North Korea. That's insane. I thought that it was just straight propaganda the whole day. No, I thought it was just straight propaganda from the day that you were born until the day that you die.
Followed by Russia with 109 billion. There are 15 countries on this list, and if you add up the spending of 14 of them, you get about $1 trillion. Not much more than what the US alone spent on its own. The figure amounted to more than 40% of global military spending that year in the whole world, and it's expected that the amount will only keep growing. By 2033, the US will be spending up to $1.1 trillion on military expenses. But why? So it turns out that for over 200 years, the U.S. hasn't fought with another country on its territory.
와, 국방비 예산이 이제 2033년 가면 1조 전억. 와, 우리는 이거 잘못.
He's surprised about this. Wait till we tell him about the debt that we're in.
못 알고 있었네. 북한에서는 항상 그런 거 주입 주다 보니까 이게 내가 북한에서 알던 거하고 얘기하는 게 완전 다르구나 이걸 알 수 있어요. 그런데 그 북한 주민들이 이제 딱 알게 되면 이게 우리가 속고 있었었네. 김정일 때도 병진 노선이라 해가지고 경제하고 국방을 같이 가지고 간다. 미국이 지금 언젠간 우리나라 침략하려고 지금 저렇게 하고 있다. 그러니까 우리는 그 침략을 막기 위해서 우리가 지금은 좀 허리띠를 조이고 배고픔이 있더라도 우리 국방에 돌려야 된다. 이렇게 사람들한테 강조를 주다 보니까 국방에 예산이 많이 들어가는 걸 알고 있어요. 예산을 여기처럼 통계내가지고 뭐 우리 국방비 예산 뭐 60점 이렇게 나와야 되는데 그 북한에는 그런 통계가 없다 보니까
호위사령부의 군인들이 알게 됐다면 좀 어떤 반응을?
엄청 대단하다. 깜짝 놀라죠. 저 나라 예산이 어느 정도인데 저 지금 국방비에 저 많은 예산을 들일까? 뭐 제가 그냥 개인적으로 알고 있는 게 영국에서 떨어져 나와가지고 뭐 한 몇백 명밖에 안 낸 나라인데 세계에서 제일 강한 나라다. 무기 자체도 전 세계적으로도 제일 최신급.
So you don't have to be a great strategist to understand it's best to attack where a country is least defended. If we look at the USA, what do we see? The country's surrounded by oceans on two sides, so we need to choose the right coast to attack. This is what the list of the 10 states with the highest defense spending in the 2022 fiscal year looked like. It's clear that Virginia, Texas, and California are at the top in terms of defense, but it's also worth noting that 7 out of the 10 states on this list are located on the east coast of the country. Moreover, if you look at the map of the USA and how the military bases are located, you can also notice that a lot of them are concentrated on the East Coast. But what if there's a land invasion? There are only two options here because the United States only shares land borders with Canada and Mexico. Meanwhile, all three countries are, at the moment, in neighborly partner relationships. A free trade agreement has been signed and they all gain from the partnership. And not only from it, the US and Canada have long been partners in defense and national security, plus mutual trade and investment between Canada and the US support millions of jobs. But let's assume, just assume, that something happened.
미국을 침략한다는 교육은 제가 건 없었어요. 미국에서 우리를 침략할까봐 그걸 방어를 해야 한다는 건 있었지만 미국을 침략한다 그런 것까지는 없는데 내부적이라고 보죠. 미국을 치려고 하면 그 핵폭탄 뭐 이런 거 있잖아요. 그런 건 한 400기 이상이 있어야 된다. 미국에서 군사기지들이 있잖아요. 그러니까 북한도 그런 걸 대략적으로 알고 있겠지. 어디에서 군사기지가 있는데 그걸 동시다발적으로 치려면 한 400기 이상이 돼야 된다. 북한은 거기가 준비가 안 돼 있었어요. 그때까지만 해도. 발전된 군사력에 대해서는 안 알려서요. 우리보다 군사력은 발전돼 있다. 이렇게는 이야기해요. 왜? 그런데 그 사람들은 심리전이라든가 이런 게 약하다. 뭐 우리는 일심단결이라는 게 있어가지고 만약에 전쟁이 일어나면 우리 군과 인민이 다 합쳐가지고 우리는 한 몸이 돼가지고 핵폭탄이 돼가지고 몸이 그냥 폭탄이잖아요. 그렇게 해서 이길 수 있다. 그게 하려면 그걸 지키려면 핵이 있어야 되니까 핵을 첫째 그냥.
Well, the invaders will have to cross the Great Lakes.
Oh yeah, if you think about it, the U.S. is literally one of the nations that we can't be invaded just because of our natural borders. It's kind of like Switzerland in a way. Like, Switzerland is a neutral country. It's not affiliated with any country. They remain neutral even throughout like World War II, World War One. They did not get involved at all because they have natural borders that protects them. That if anyone wants to invade them, they will have to cross through the mountains, and that's already a death sentence. Because having people aiming at you from the top, where you have to look up, you're not making any moves. You're pretty much gonna die. So they're like blessed with like natural borders that protect them. The same as the U.S. We cannot get invaded because we are so massive in size, and because of our borders that are just pretty much water. The only ones that we will have to worry about is Mexico and Canada, but once again, like in the video, we're friends with them, so we don't really have to worry about like getting invaded as much in land. But if anything, will have to be through air or through the sea. But that's very hard.
To get to the major cities, or at least they'll need to force a few serious rivers. In most areas along the US-Canada border, potential invaders will find plenty of stunning national parks. It's really very beautiful there, but from a military value perspective, the territory, well, it's pretty much pointless.
지리가 기본이죠. 우리나라 같은 건 삼면이 바다잖아요. 들어온다 해도 바다로 들어올 거잖아요. 그러니까 우리가 바다에 대한 해군이 무장력이 강해야 되고, 미국이라는 나라는 좀 강대국이다 보니까 다른 나라를 먹을 수 있게 침략할 수 있는 거라고 생각하는데, 이 지금 유튜브에서 보면 우리도 다른 나라에서 침략을 당할 때 우리가 지리상 어떻게 되고 우리는 어떻게 해서 방어가 좋으며 뭐 그런 걸 지금 많이 하는 것 같아요. 아마 생각해 보면 미국을 누가 함부로 쳐요. 칠 생각을 못 하잖아요. 미국은 좀 우리가 알기로는 다른 나라를 계속 정복한다 이렇게 알고 있었는데.
So we'll have to think about attacking from the ocean on the west coast. Mainly because the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans are two huge bodies of water that serve as natural barriers, keeping North America apart from Europe, Africa, and Asia. Before launching an attack on a country from the sea, these obstacles will need to be overcome, and it has to be done somehow without being noticed. Transporting military troops and gear takes time. These operations are called amphibious assaults, and they're considered some of the most complex and dangerous in any war. With the US having enough time, they'll be able to pull troops to the shore, and in the end, the invasion will probably not even start. Some experts even say that all the fleets in the world don't have enough aircraft carriers and amphibious assault ships to break through the US Navy. There won't be enough fighter jets to gain air superiority either. So maybe the two oceans on either side of the US are the main reason why no one has invaded the country for 2 centuries.
좀 긍지가 있다고 생각하지 않을까요? 자랑이라든가 긍지. 우리 미국에서 태어났고 미국 국민으로서 우리가 국방력이 이렇게 강하고 우리나라는 다른 나라도 침략할 수 없는 요새지로구나. 국방이 강해지면 그 나라가 평온한 거잖아요. 내가 미래에도 꿈꿀 수 있고. 근데 지금 만약에 국방력이 든든하지 못하다 가면 미래가 없다고 봐야 되죠. 언제 어느 순간에 침략당할지 모르고 불안한 감. 미국이란 건 우리가 든든하다, 경제적이라든가 이런 데 생활에 좀 많이 신경 써가지고 내가 사는 삶에서 더 행복하고 더 즐거운 삶을 만들어갈 수 있는 거잖아요. 그런데 그런 게 없는 나라는 뭔가 불안하고 뭔가 하는 일이 잘 되지 않고, 나라가 안정돼야 다른 나라에서 투자도 하고 우리가 뭐 다른 나라에 가서 배우고 오기도 하고 뭐 이런 게 있어야 되는데, 그런 게 없으면 벌써 평민들이 조금 많이 지치고 힘들고 불안하다고 그렇게 생각돼요. 우리
Dude, that is so true. Because of our natural borders, I don't think anybody in the U.S. worries really about getting invaded. They probably worry about other world. Probably worry about other wars going on. Americans probably worry about other wars going on out there, like Ukraine and Russia, for example, Israel and Palestine. I'm not sure about that too much, to be honest, but like U.S. Americans probably don't worry that much about wars, but they probably worry about wars like overseas. Just because a lot of people of America are like, they feel a lot of empathy towards other people, so that's good. Because when when you see bad things happen to other people, I think you should feel some type of empathy to those that are suffering. So if there's a war going on in Ukraine or Russia, that's one thing that people in the U.S. worry about. I don't know what the fuck posting on Instagram. I don't know. I have no idea what posting on Instagram is going to do for the war. I don't think it helps that much. I don't even know how it really helps. I have no idea how that helps, but I guess it does bring kind of like attention to that problem in a way, raise awareness. But yeah, as an American, we were very lucky that we don't have to worry about wars because we can actually like worry about other things rather than getting invaded.
할머니 친척분이 그분이 미국에서 있었어요. 그러니까 그냥 한국분이죠. 근데 미국을 갔는데 그 가게 된 동기가 전쟁했을 때 후퇴하면서 미국군에 들어가가지고 북한하고 친교해가지고 막 서로 사람 찾고 할 때 그때 우리 할머니를 찾겠다고 엄청 이렇게 미국에서 이렇게 우리 북한에 왔었어요. 만나러 가는데 미국에서 왔다 해가지고 우리가 미국에 친척이 있으면 우리 다 잡혀가는 거 아닌가? 뭐 어릴 때 그런 생각도 했었고 매해마다 할머니가 사망하기 전까지 매해마다 편지 2번, 3번씩 왔어요. 북한도 그렇잖아요. 이게 지금 딱 닫힌 상태잖아요. 미국이 경제봉쇄라는 걸 해가지고 일단은 빨리 미국하고 협상해가지고 경제봉쇄 풀려야 뭐가 북한도 평민들도 좀 잘 살고 미국도 그 협상에서 조건이 있잖아요. 너 집에 큰 개가 있고 뭐 진짜 우리가 들어갈 수 없는데 그 개를 계속 풀어놓으면 들어갈 수 없잖아요. 그럼 그 개를 주인이 묶어다 놓고 우리에 들어가야 우리가 그 집을 들어갈 수 있잖아요. 이 집만 잘못이 있지 않잖아요. 개만 있는 게 잘못이 아니고 또 이 집에도 뭔가 뭐 다른 뭐 짐승이 있다던가 북한은 핵 포기는 안 할 거예요. 왜 이렇게 몇 번 속은 적이 있다고 봐야 되죠. 미국이 들어간 나라는 잘 살긴 하는데 그 핵심 간부들은 다 죽었어요. 평민들은 좋아요. 그런데 위에 사람들은 어떤 게 있냐면요. 미국은 북한을 안 치는데 북한 안에 사람들이 요동칠 수가 있어요. 우리가 몇십 년 동안 모르던 걸 알고 갑자기 알 수 있는 거예요. 저도 같았어요. 항상 오기 전까지는 미국이라든가 한국은 항상 북한을 치기 위해서 노력하는 줄 알았는데 한국 올라보니까 아니 이게 한국에서 전쟁할 생각도 안 해요. 싸울 생각도 안 하고 북한 같은 거는 매 지역마다 동상들도 있고 김일성 연구실 사석관 뭐 핵심 땅, 좋은 땅덩어리 다 있는 거예요. 거기 무너지지 않을까요? 하루아침에 사람들이 꼭대기 돌며 가서 그거 다 까부시지 않을까요? 그게 더 무서운 거죠. 그냥 저는 그 나라에서 살고 이게 오다 보니까 그 개인적인 그 생각입니다. 가도기가 있을 거예요. 많은 이제 혼란도 있고 그렇게 해서 개인적으로 생각됩니다.
Yeah, that is the one thing that if people do find out in North Korea the truth about like how people live outside of North Korea, because a lot of people that live in North Korea now are going through starvation just because there is no food going on. Not a lot of people are reproducing. I don't know if you guys knew that, but if they found out that other countries are living off way better than they are, because they believe that other countries are just poor, like very, very poor. They're doing horribly, and they're always trying to attack them. Like this guy said that South Korea is trying to beat them, the US is trying to beat them, but if they found out that they didn't have to, why the fuck can I fucking speak, bro? Holy shit. If they found out that they don't have to worry about anything like that, then they will probably revolt against the government one way or another. They will try to find a way to kill their leaders in a way. But yeah, it's just that they don't know. They were not taught that. They have like pretty sure they have over 40 decades. Not 40 decades. I'm pretty sure they have over 40 years since they were born that they have no idea what's going on outside the world. Like they're not allowed to know. Like the only things that they know is that they're trying to get invaded, so that's why they spend so much on military and not much on people, because the people are taught that they're using the nation's money to defend the people. But meanwhile, that's not true. But yeah, amazing video. Kind of scared to think about North Korea like that, but yeah. Alright. Take a bathroom break. we are back. Whew. Alright, so let's see where we left off. Alright, that was an amazing video once again. So, let's see what is up. The most decorated soldier who didn't want to be there. How America got so stupid. I would love to see that, but I feel that's offensive to Americans. Alright, we already watched India, so I think this video will be pretty good. Why Indians have zero civic sense. I think that would be good. Alright. Alright, so we're going to be watching Why Indians Have Zero Civic Sense by 01 by Sardou. No, don't say that. Anyways.
No, let's do something else today. Dude, like, we've been doing financial videos for 2 years now. And what's the point? The point is not to get financial freedom to buy things. It's to have peace of mind and be happy. But how can you be happy? When you're driving, suddenly someone cuts you off and insurance premiums rises. Tumhara, mera, because he's a rash driver. And then I was taking a turn, someone actually threw garbage, and our tax-paying money will be used to actually pick it up. So today I'm going to talk about something that we have not. How civic sense actually affects us in more ways than you think. Our happiness and also how it's affected financially. Let's do this. Roll. What's civic sense? It's an unsaid rule where you learn by looking at other people on how to behave in public. How to care for the environment, the community, people around you, being polite. But unfortunately, we, Indians, lack civic sense.
A lot. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. So from what I've seen in the streets,
we did a fun experiment. You see this area over here near the office is quite dirty. So we got it completely cleaned. Chaka-chon, very beautiful, spick and span. And this other side of the road was actually quite dirty as well. What we did was we sort of added a little bit of litter. And then we observed for a few days on what actually happened. And the result will actually shock you. But you know, a lot of my friends living abroad say that Indians don't have civic sense because of education. Now, near our office, everyone's obviously educated. That's why there are offices, right? And this place is dirty. So clearly, it's not education. It's something else. So I found 3 interesting things of why this is happening and how it's affecting us economically and, well, just our happiness. The first one is tragedy of the commons. This is when you see someone throwing out garbage to keep his car clean or the house clean at the expense of the society. When humans exploit shared resources for their own benefit and basically everyone else can't use that resource, that is tragedy of the commons. And what's more shocking is that recently there was a yoga day organized in Vizag, a community event where you can come, learn yoga, perform yoga, good for your health, great for the community. But everyone did this. They ran and started stealing the yoga mats, literally snatching it from each other. But you know what's even more sad? The yoga mats were actually free anyway. So all you had to do was queue up and everything was there for you anyway. And that's the sad part. You see, when the community is incentivized to break the rule, as in when someone breaks the queue, he gets the benefit, someone steals the mat, he gets the mat, and nothing happens, that's when tragedy of the common becomes worse because everyone is incentivized to break the rule. And then we have road accidents. In 2022, India witnessed 4.6
I hope you know that this can happen to literally any country. This can be every single country that we see as good. For example, Japan, they have like good manners in a way, I would say. They're known for that. The US, not as much as Japan, but we have like common decency that we know like one not to throw away and to pretty much not throw massive amounts of trash like outside in a park, for example. But if we had as much people as they do in India, this would be way worse. Like I believe that every nation could end up like India in the sense that if every man for themselves just kind of like make it. And also, now that I'm looking at the video, actually, I'm not gonna put that. But I don't know what's. But I think in the U.S. at least we have like some type of common sense to not do those things because we're raised that way. But I feel like in India, I don't know if they have the same type of like upbringing from birth to like teenage years and adulthood as we do in America. Probably not. Most definitely not. I would say so.
Lakh road incidents. Accidents. In 2022, India witnessed 4.6 lakh.
Because that 461 312. What does that even mean? There's an extra comma right there. Who wrote this?
Road incidents. That's almost 500,000, and that took 1.7 lakh lives. The thing is, out of this 1.7 lakh deaths, 1.2 happened due to overspeeding. This means that these deaths could have easily been avoided. I'll tell you one more thing.
Why did they write numbers like that?
We were in Italy recently, and I'm absolutely not comparing our country with another country, but when we were there and I saw 60 kilometers and it was an open highway, I could have easily touched 120. But because I was outside and everyone was following the rule, I stayed at 55. And can you imagine, this side was completely free. Nobody overtook me because it was not considered good civic sense over there. And then we have the best of all, theft. And let's take an example of, say, the railways. We love taking trips in trains, right? There was actually a lot of theft in trains, as you can imagine. I'm talking about bulbs, pillows, cloth, linen, the mugs. Anything basically you can pick up was stolen, and this was 260 crore rupees in 2022. And how does this affect us? Well, one, it contributes to the losses of the Indian Railways, which means fares will go up. All of these costs will be passed on to you, the taxpayer. You will have to pay a higher fare because someone stole something. But you know, the tragedy of the commons is only one aspect of civic sense. Another aspect is actually the broken window problem. So let me give you an example. Imagine you go into Delhi Metro and we sent part of our crew. We said just record the place and see if someone is eating or has any kachra in their hand and just try to record them. You'll notice they don't throw or litter across the Delhi Metro, and it's actually really, really clean and well organized. But the same person, once he goes down, exits the Delhi Metro, walks on the street, throws it on the street. Another example is a normal railway. You enter a bogie, you'll see someone eating peanuts, and then they eat the peanut and take the chilka and throw it right there. And they do this because everyone else is doing it. No one stops them, they don't stop anyone, and they say, koi aur aake saaf kar dega, it's their job. And this is called the broken window theory. Basically, if there's a broken window, people find it okay if another one breaks. But if something is pristine and beautiful, people want to maintain it. And this is not just about our country getting dirty and we're complaining about it. It also affects our health. 40% of all plastic is thrown on Indian streets. This blocks drains and floods in our streets during monsoons. It becomes a breeding ground for diseases. It harms street animals because they're the ones who eat the trash, and it pollutes the soil, water, and enters our food chain because that waste just hardly gets cleaned. Now, I know you'll think that when something is dirty in a public place, the government is supposed to clean it, but we can't blame the government for our lack of civic sense, right? I mean, look at this example here. Street food falls on the street, and they go pick it up and throw it in the dustbin. and the place is clean again. If this happened and you're eating, will you actually bend down, pick up that wet waste food and throw it in the dustbin? Another tragedy is tourism. The largest concern of travelers trying to come to India as tourists is, I'll get sick. And you'll also go on the internet, you'll find hundreds of videos with millions of views where they're showing how dirty India is. And that means other foreigners also think India is dirty, and this is really embarrassing for us. Think about the negative.
I feel like, as an American, if you ever have someone talking about India, there's clips of people saying that. No, there's clips of people like going around in, I don't know, TikTok or just on the streets, and then they ask them, "What do you think is the dirtiest country in the world?" And because of the videos that we see of tourists that go into those countries, and they see the streets of and they see that I can't talk, and they see that the way the streets look like, they record it, they post it, Americans see it, and we're able to see that India is pretty dirty because of that. We have clear proof of what tourism would look like if you were to go there. So yes, we see India as dirty because it is dirty, because of what we see. So yes, it does look bad because it is bad.
Impact it has on our country. People don't want to travel and tourism takes a hit. So I don't know what the solution to this is, but I found something crazy. As children, we're not really taught to clean up our own mess. Hit. So I don't know what the solution to want to travel and tourism takes a hit.
Big hit.
So I don't know what the solution to this is, but I found something crazy. As children, we're not really taught to clean up our own mess. Think about it. When you eat your food or if there's something dirty, there's either the kaam wali bai at home to pick that up for you and wash the dishes, or it's mummy. You don't have in your brain a thought that mujhe utha ke isko saaf karna hai, because it is outsourced to someone else. And a second reason is more embedded in our history. If you look back at India, our society has been divided into this hereditary kind of structure where cleanliness has been outsourced to a different part of society, a marginalized part of society, which does the cleaning. So because someone else is supposed to do the cleaning, all of us don't have a shared responsibility of public ownership of cleanliness. And this is called the endowment effect. The moment you feel shared resources are your own, you start to take care of it. Let me give you an example of Japan. So over there you'll see chote bache actually going to school all on their own, and once they're in school, they'll even clean their classrooms because it's ingrained in their culture that this shared space is my space. So they actually care about it. So when they grow up, naturally the entire population thinks of their city, their country as their own and not belonging to somewhere else. Therefore, they take care of its cleanliness and other things. In India, if you're following the rules, you'll get awkward stares. At least it's happened with me. Now let's start with solutions, but I need you to post your solutions before you hear these so we can actually compare notes in the comments. First one starts with Coldplay. So a friend of ours went to Ahmedabad for the Coldplay concert. And I'm sure you've heard of those moon glasses, right? Which make things look all cool. So there were 1.5 lakh people going over here and they thought they might not get the moon glasses. So they went to this one guy who had it and there were like 100, 200 people there. And our teammate is telling us that everyone is reaching out and saying, "Mujhe glasses de do." The organizer shouts at the top of his voice saying, not a single person gets these moon glasses until you form a clean queue. Everyone formed a single file line and they stood and everyone got those glasses. This is enforcement. Once you enforce, people will do, and you do not incentivize bad behavior. You incentivize good behavior. We need this from the government and us from each other. The second is...
Dude, the thing is that for India, I think it's just too far gone in the sense that it will take a long time to take this mentality out of 900 million people or 1 billion people that have this mentality to just throw things away in the street and change their mentality in the way that, and change their mentality into not wanting to clean up after themselves. it will take, I would say, at least a decade, because at the very least a decade, because you will have to like reteach the youth and just kind of like change the entire generation. Over time, I think that over time it is possible, but in like 1 or 2 years, I don't see that as a realistic goal. If you're trying to clean up India's if you're trying to change India's mentality of cleaning up after themselves instead of just throwing things out.
Is contacting. We need this from the government and us from each other. The second is contacting your municipality. If you have an area which needs to be cleaned, they are managing a really large area, inform them, tell them, and you will see something happening. You should actually take shared responsibility of everything around you, and you can actually affect it. For example, Noida and Delhi actually has an app where you can inform them when something is dirty or something needs work, and it reaches the correct authority. I mean, that's amazing, right? Before we move to point number 3, I want you to guess what happened to our experiment over there. So the results of the experiment are not surprising. The place which was actually dirty became a little more dirty, and the place which was clean continued to be clean. We did not nudge anyone over here to do anything. If someone makes fun of you, you should actually be the change. And I'm not saying this as this boring philosophical ending. I actually have an interesting story here. Swati and I used to stay in this area in Noida where there was a playground, and the playground obviously had lots of children, and there were 6 puppies. Now these 6 puppies were complete strays, and the kids were actually kicking each puppy, and the puppies were crying, and every time a boy kicked and the puppy cried, everyone clapped and laughed. So we actually did something simple. We didn't say anything to the humans. We went to the puppies, put them on our lap, and started cuddling them. The puppies quickly went to us and they felt safety, and the children said something amazing. They said,
आप इनको तो बच्चे की तरह ट्रीट कर रहे हो.
Swati says,
ये बच्चे ही तो हैं.
And the same kids who were kicking actually squatted down and started petting and started saying alle 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 alle, and their behavior changed in seconds. And I realized humans are exactly the same. The moment you show them what's correct and everyone agrees, because everyone is doing the right thing, everyone continues to do the right thing. So the change actually starts with you.
That was actually a very informative video about India, because yeah, it does make sense, everything that he said, and it does take a lot of people to make a change, to make it look like there was a change. That even fucking makes sense. It takes a lot of people to change their perspective in order to like actually see a difference in India. But yeah. Alright. Amazing video. That was a good video, but I will still not be visiting India anytime soon, at least. And damn, we reacted to a lot of videos, but I think that'll be it for today, just because I have to edit all of those videos, which I'm gonna have fun editing them. I'm gonna have fun editing them because they were actually very good videos. But Woo Rolly, I don't know who you are. Want to write to what, a SoundCloud thing? I don't know. Damn. Yeah, no wonder I have no viewers. You have every single other person on right now. Jinxie, Jason Ween, Adapt, JC Clicks. Holy shit, dude. 139,000 people watching him, and I can't even get one person watching me. One day. If I have like 100, I'll be more than happy. Like, my life will feel complete with just that much people. But yeah. Alright, see you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. We have some videos to get to editing.